as we have Assassins versus Dust Gaming. Game 2. Game 1 going the way of SNA. And Dust, well, they're looking for a revenge.
You know, Panda getting banned out right away, then Lycan makes it through and SNA grabs it. This is, again, going to be a very tower-heavy push lineup. Hopefully get to see something cool like Prophet, because I really like casting him, but Doom gets picked up, and always exciting to see. I think that might have been a good answer there, shutting down a Krob before she might least expect it, or even just anyone relevant in that specific lineup. Earthshaker gets actually doomed out. There's a lot of really good targets that could potentially get picked up here. So Tide, the last one in the pool that I'll mention, with Void getting banned out as well as Viper. So Razor and Viper both being banned out is kind of awkward to me, but it's fine because both teams definitely know what they're doing at this stage. But it looks like Dust is finally willing to go with a little push of their own.
Yeah, and we have to hope that it works out for them. I mean, they get the Doom, which, all said and done, is an incredibly strong hero. Like, there's a reason you see him get banned down. There's a reason that teams typically don't like playing against him, is because he just has so much in his arsenal to make things happen. And if he can get some sort of initiation potential, maybe from a Blink or the less common Shadow Blade, then you get off on a Lycanthrope, you get off on an Earthshaker, whatever Sneaky Nyx Assassins have the draft, and get that the Pentagram, the Doom off onto them.
10 seconds.
I mean, you block the shapeshift from the Lycan. He can't get away. I mean, that's one of Lycan's main abilities, is his ability to get away. So, I mean, it's really hard to fight up against the Doom. If he can mute one of your heroes, he's essentially taking them out of the game. Unless, you know, you're 50 minutes in, they have their 6 slot and dealing 300 damage in auto attack and moving at 522 movement speed. But aside from that, there is very little you can do against the Doom if he can get his Doom off. And Sneaky Nyx Assassins, they have to figure out a way to work around that now. As Dust Gaming, they also have the Shadow Shaman, which is going to be difficult in and of his own respect. If they can run him as successfully as Sneaky Nyx Assassins did in the last game, get his level 6 up in a timely fashion, then it's going to be really hard to deal with Dust Gaming's early game.
I have to agree. I'd be surprised too if we didn't see something like a Tide that comes into the offlane into this equation. If he manages to make it through this specific phase. Ember also an equally good ban, and just goes to show how in touch I think Fluff is with the scene. Just so versatile in the sense that you can run him out of the safe lane on this side, or even the mid lane, just if need be. So Krob takes the hit here. Tide's still in the pool, and they're just trying to shut down, I think, some of these push options to see what they can force out to happen. Nature's Prophet, of note, also still in the pool, which I would be intrigued to see coupling with a Lycan. Just really good split push that you wouldn't necessarily be able to stop unless you focused into it. And SNA definitely has the aggressive and players and talent to execute a build such as that, to where another team more than likely could not handle a strategy such as that.
So I'm really surprised that we're seeing the Ember Spirit get banned out so religiously by the Sneaky Nyx Assassins. And Dust are going to go ahead and pick up the guy that, you know, we constantly talk about is a really strong hero, but didn't see too great of a win rate after he got figured out. Still a strong hero. I still hold by that silence. And in conjunction with the Doom's Mute, well, I'll just go ahead and name the hero. Skywrath Mage is picked up by Dust Gaming. And when you talk about ultimates, well, Dust Gaming have the ultimate lineup. They've got the Serpent Warriors, which need to come online. They've got the Doom, which needs to come online, and the Mystic Flare that needs to come online. Once all those three are down, it doesn't really matter who the other two guys they pick up are, as long as they just help with the setups. But once those three ultimates are up, then things are going to get very difficult for the Sneaky Nyx Assassins. Now, if Lycan can land or get his shapeshift off, then it's going to be really hard to get the Mystic Flare down on Lycan. But Earthshaker, not an incredibly mobile hero, could end up dropping to the Mystic Flare easily. And Nature's Prophet, he needs to get out by 9 out of 10 times sprouting himself in. If he gets locked in that TP position, then the Mystic Flare is really going to screw his day up. So, with the Skywrath Mage picked up, Mirana will be another pickup coming from Dust Gaming. We know the typical Mirana Shadow Shaman combo. And Sneaky Nyx Assassins, they're going to go with the Disruptor.
I don't disagree. I like Nature's Prophet. I was talking about it beforehand because of the Necro books that both Lycan and him natively like to pick up. And the more Prophet I've been actually playing and watching recently, it is almost favorable not to sprout yourself in unless you're in a situation you know that you can just get away with it, because it almost indicates where you're at rather than giving you the element of surprise that you're actually in a specific tree spot trying to TP away. So I think it just comes down to being more situational. So hopefully we see Skyrath attempt to shut some of that down, since he does have the ability to silence at great length. It's going to be so good. This lineup in specific, setup with Skyrath, follow up from Doom. If Doom can manage to farm a blink in time, it's going to be very hard for SNA to handle. But at the same time, too, SNA is a very farm heavy and farm centric team. They need a good mid, I think, to follow this up and see what exactly happens. And it's going to force Dust to reveal their full lineup before they even have to select one, as I don't see any of these guys headed towards the mid lane.
Yeah, so with the Tinker and the Storm Spirit banned out so far, the Tinker, so far Sneak and Nyx Assassin's bans have been really interesting. I mean, Tinker, Ember Spirit, Weaver, and Viper all taken out. I gotta say, I wasn't expecting really any of those bans, but it looks like Dust Gaming's are a little bit more systematic. They got rid of the Krub, they got rid of the Pugna and the Storm Spirit. All are very, very good mid heroes, and I wouldn't be surprised if the SNA they go ahead and run the Lycan as a mid hero. I've seen it before, and it has worked. Notable players would be Arteezy, but I mean, this is TC we're talking about. #1 NEL player, I gotta say, and definitely a carry that can play the mid position. So if they want to run the Lycan mid, they have the option too. But I wouldn't be surprised if they go ahead and pick up a dedicated mid as their 5.
Don't you think it would, like, these bans make so much sense? At least they do to me. All I see is they're banning out the heroes in which they cannot lock down that stop the push. Ember has a way of dealing with push where he cannot necessarily be targeted. Great escape. Same with Weaver. Swarm, extremely annoying. Tinker through the Blink Dagger. I think that it is more systematic than maybe it was credited for, just because it stops all of the push that they're looking to do, which is just sheer split push. What heroes can take down a Nature's Prophet and Lycan and just completely shut them out? And there's the mid pick we were looking for. Brew ban away as Templar gets picked up, so Dragon Knight, not a bad option to jump on into for TC up against Handball.
Oh yeah, but Templar Assassin's gonna be that fit the bill of exactly what you were just talking about. That mid hero that if you can't really lock him down, he'll have great anti-push and great damage. Well, there you go. Templar Assassin fills that role almost perfectly, and Templar Assassin actually doesn't do too terribly versus the Dragon Knight mid. Granted, Dragon Knight will be able to harass her down very quickly given the opportunity to, but with Handball, if he's on point with those refraction shields, then he should be fine here in the mid lane. So going out, heroes dispersing to their lanes will go ahead and introduce the teams. What? The game's crashed?
Yeah, my driver. I don't know what's going on. Maybe I need to update it.
All right, well, we'll wait for you to come back into the game. In the meantime, I'll go ahead and give these players their proper dues for the Dire. On Team Dust Gaming, we have Handball, our mid player, picking up the TA. It's going to be 470 on the Doom in the bottom lane. Top, it's Loki on the Skyrath Mage. Heisenberg will be on the Mirana, and Mate on the Shadow Shaman. And I think Loki's rocking the golden immortal item. What's it called? Inscribed Empyrean? No, I don't think that one's golden. Never mind. I was getting a little bit excited there. Oh, well. Anyway, for Sneaky Nyx Assassins, we have SNA, the namesake of the team, and the man himself doing well in NEL as well. It's going to be SNA on the Lycanthrope. Way Too Sexy, our stand-in, or I think is a stand-in, is going to be on the Disruptor. It is TC, our other stand-in, on the Dragon Knight. We're looking at Fluff and Stuff on the Earthshaker, and IX Mike on the Greedy Nature's Prophet.
The game is on.
And sounds like you're back in the game.
I am indeed. This draft is so balanced. It's going to be so much fun to watch. I love me some Nature's Prophet. Such a rat at heart.
Do you really love Nature's Prophet, man? I'm about to drop you from the call. I'm about to drop you from the call, dude.
Profile, it's like 500 games. It's
dude.
bad.
Dude, that's awful. You are literally ruining every single Dota game you play Nature's Prophet in.
I can play anything. I've been playing the game for like 10 years, but I love Nature's Prophet so much.
Oh, man.
I don't even do as well on him anymore. I think a lot of people are used to the rad strategies, but getting down into the game, I actually think TC is going to do deceptively well against someone like Handball. This lane actually worries me.
Does it really? I don't entirely agree. I think in the early levels, handball is going to really do a lot of damage. I mean, you look at that, the refraction shield comes on just as the breathe fire comes down. Already TC out of mana. He needs the bottle out, which should be coming out to him, yeah, but it's in the early levels at least. I think with the Saya blades starting to come online once handball hits level 2, it's going to be really hard for TC to sustain this lane until he gets maybe 2 or 3 points up into Dragon's Blood.
I can kind of agree in some senses, but I think what it comes down to is he knows that he is a really high skill tier player, and he's going to take advantage. You saw how much on top of handball he was, and I don't think someone like that is going to expect a Dragon Knight to be on top of them that early, able to burn down that refraction so quick, but we'll see how it pans out. I mean, on paper, does the hero matchup actually not favor TC? Absolutely, but we'll see how he can kind of finagle some skill into this. It's just really fun and entertaining to watch out, though I do agree he does need the Dragon's Blood to sustain the lane, especially as the Psyblades kind of get up and running and really take away a chunk of his health each time they're utilized.
Yeah, so I don't think if the lane goes the way it is going right now, I don't think either of these heroes will be short for farm. To be honest, neither one can really focus the other out of lane, given that TC is probably the better player in this sense. I think that TA has so much in their kit to be able to survive up against that. And if both teams get equal farm, you know, I gotta say the Templar Assassin is a little bit scarier coming into the mid to late game. With that minus armor, will be able to rip through a lot of what Sneaky Nyx Assassins have drafted up. And this could be an actual gank coming out into the mid lane. It looks like we've got Mate and Loki making their way around. Handball getting himself in position, ready for this one, but not... Oh, man, they want it. Can they still get the shackles off? Mate looked like he ran right into the vicinity of it, but just did not go for it. Oh, man, that one could have been really bad. But Fluff and Stuff was waiting right there, so I think ultimately it was a very smart decision not to go on TC.
Yeah, 13 for 1, both even aside as they lead the farm game here. Lycan and Mirana also tied up. I think as long as SNA buys themselves enough time in this early game, they will start barreling.
IX Mike here in the top lane. He could drop. Loki gonna grab first blood. Up against the Stash himself. You know, noted as one of the better, if not the best offlaners. IX Mike, we didn't expect him to give up a kill like that, but to be perfectly honest, if you're going against a lane like this, it's really easy to give up kills, and it's really, really difficult not to.
No, have to agree. I think that his positioning wasn't also favorable there. I think he might have gotten a little bit overconfident due to that ward being there and kind of revealing a little bit of what's going on in the jungle. So just overconfident in that sense. As another gank looks to be forming up as Loki and Mate seem to have rotated down. They have the vision on the high ground as they're up there. Fluff, though, still level 1, which is surprising here, sitting down and waiting to see. So Way 2 also in tow, potentially seeing if they can snuff this out. And they know it's coming. Fisher going to block off the rotation in. Mate right now on top of TC. TC saved as they are pursuing, but they're not able to get a kill on either side.
No, with the glimpse back, Mate is going to drop.
Actually tagging it down. TC able to take it. Such a good glimpse. Sorry. Go on ahead. My bad.
Nah. You took that one. I'm perfectly all right with that. No, Glimpse is an incredible spell. I mean, it is one of those that if you get low and you have the lightning on you, you're not living. And I think he's got only he's got 2 points in that, so it has a relatively long range given only 2 points, and it scales better and better as you put more and more points into it. So, I mean, you got to expect that. I think they knew Fluff was there, so the counter initiation is always there. And hold on, SNA could be in a little bit of trouble. Hold on, it actually might be Mate in a lot of trouble here. Does Way Too Sexy have the mana for another glimpse? 5 seconds. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to go for it, though, and SNA and Way 2 will back off. That looked a little scary for SNA at first. Looking up at the top lane, though, IX Mike again going to give up another kill. And, you know, that is not really good. Given Mirana the tools to snowball is definitely not something you want to be doing.
Agreed, and the fact that Fluff is not doing well, specifically on this actual... sorry, Earthshaker, I got distracted by that golden Roshan for a moment there. I was like, oh, okay, that's valuable. But yeah, the Fluff's ability to translate into this game, he's only, level 2 right now. That gank did pay off some dividends, but not enough to necessarily inject him back into the game. Yep. Now they have 2 heroes that are not as farmed as they need them to be, so they're going to have to re-examine. You're going to see Mike head over into the jungle. He's going to be scouting out with the trees right as 470 takes his own roam into the opposing jungle, should run right into Mike, and he's just going to be stealing right from the mouth of SNA here, and they're going to have to see if they can come up with something to counter it.
Well, he's got the Moonlight Shadow. Oh, mid lane, actually, we're going to have a kill out. The Templar Assassin Handball will end up picking up TC. So, mate, he could actually get away with under the guise of the Moonlight Shadow. They had a Sentry Ward, it looks like, so they were able to get a couple auto attacks, but not able to finish him off. Now, Handball could end up grabbing another kill. He doesn't. He ends up dropping, and Loki going to go way back for this one. Will end up getting it. Now, 470 looking for that last auto attack. He almost got it off, too, but couldn't quite do it as the Glimpse brings him back just in time. Now they lose Handball, but they end up getting TC and they end up getting Fluff and stuff. So not too bad of a trade, but hold on, SNA will end up making it a little bit worse for them as he's pushing hard into the bottom tier 1 tower, and he's going to end up grabbing this one up. So split pushing effectively, SNA will end up grabbing the trade to make it a little bit better for SNA, but losing TC to Handball there, definitely not something you want to be happening. Now that Handball is a level up on TC.
Yeah, agreed. I think it's going to be rough for them. We knew he wasn't necessarily on paper going to win this lane, but I don't think he's doing all too bad. His farm isn't
Definitely
poor.
not.
It's about 7 minutes in. He's got a wand. He's got his actual bracer. He's going to be relevant as they start crashing down on some of these towers here, and that's exactly what they needed from SNA himself, is to take down that tower, get themselves into a more favorable position on the gold graph, and that should curb things right back up. Yeah, right about even. So not bad 7 minutes in. They just really need a lot of experience, and they need to take control of this map. Really good vision is what allows that time and space to happen. You see it right here on the hill as they've just planted that. They also have good vision on mid, since so much action has been going on there. But right now, Mike getting ganked, smoke up there. Skywrath about to move right on top of him from behind with 470 in tow. So Doom going to be placed right on top of him. He does have the level 6, so Mike will not be able to TP out if he doesn't see this coming.
This is a very risky gank path, though. Now they're going to
it
go in there and potential rotations in, but Axe Mike going to go ahead and sprout himself off. They get the Sasso, they get vision. He will go down, and as really risky as a gank path that is, it works out for them. No rotations come in, and Axe Mike will just drop. Now, it is a high-risk, high-reward gank path. I'll get back to that, as it looks like Handball might be in a little bit of trouble. Breathe Fire as well as the damage over time. He's going to refraction up, but it's not going to be enough to stay alive as TC... Oh, hold on. Do they have... Yep, they have vision. Okay. Fluff and stuff on point with those wards, but he will end up dropping, and that is way too sexy. No, way too sexy actually gets a kill somewhere else on the mate. So multiple kills going the way of SNA here, as now they're going to go ahead with a push onto the mid tower. They still have Elder Dragon form up and ready to go, as well as Wolves. Do they have Howl? No, but they do still have the Feral Impulse. That tower should drop really quickly, and no way to save it. But hopefully they can get a couple of kills on the back of it. They're waiting to make a go. Moonlight Shadow coming off in a little bit. They're just going to go ahead and let it drop.
Radiant's top towers.
Mike headed towards Mechanism. He's actually has enough gold right here to complete it. You know, he's got his ultimate up. They're still doing well because of these towers in the money game, regardless of how many times he's died. What is that, 3 times already? He's 1 for 3. He's been effective at where he's actually been at. And I think Way 2 is having such a phenomenal game on this Disruptor. I mean, 1 offensive glimpse to secure an early kill against someone like Handball in that mid lane, and then another on 470 to save his teammate. I believe at the time it may have been Fluff, because TC had gone down, something to that effect, as it looked like Fluff was going down on that Earthshaker. So just really solid play from him has allowed his team some time and space, and that SNA needs. They need to buy that Lycan time to farm and become relevant. Already you see he's rotated away from bottom because there's not much else left for him to do. So what they're attempting to do is buy time and space elsewhere. They force fights out, and once they're there, he's going to be able to just tag towers, and Mike is going to be able to be that much more effective. Instead of going for something like Necro, he grabs Mech in order to jolt his team back up, stay healthy in the fight, and they do have some big ultimates that can pay dividends for them. Through Static Storm, through the Earthshaker, Echo Slam, there's a lot of really cool things
Top lane, mate, he's going to drop just alone to SNA. IX Mike will actually be the one to pick that up with the Wrath of Nature. I think they gave that one to him, to be honest. It looked like SNA was waiting on that last attack, and that gives IX Mike a little bit more to get back into the game, as it looks like he's starved up a lot now. He does have his Mechanism finished up, but on top of that, his items are going to be coming out fairly slowly. Now, it looks like Dust are going to make their way around to the top lane. They want to go on to Fluff. Before 70, he's going to get stunned up by TC. The Breathe Fire will slow him down a little bit. Now, they end up getting the Doom out onto SNA. The Doom doing significant damage, but it shouldn't be enough for the time being. It looks like Handball, though, isn't going to let him go without a fight. fight. He will end up getting stunned up by TC. A Breathe Fire should be coming out. He could end up getting cleaned up right now. He does get cleaned up. Now Static Storm goes down. Heisenberg taking a lot of damage from that. The Lightning does tick down, giving vision for TC's last auto attack. And 3 heroes low on the Sneaky Nyx Assassins. None of them have actually died yet. SNA taking a really good fight, and Dust.
They needed that.
Dust really needed that too. It seemed like they were slowly losing grip, if anything, and now it looks like this game is looking pretty difficult for them.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what I meant. They needed that win, and they just were not able to find it. Such a well-placed Fissure out of fluff created such a disorganized team fight where if they joined in from the backside, they had to get involved with heroes like Way 2's Disruptor that they didn't want to get involved in. And there was the Static Storm on the Mirana that was hunting potentially for a Lycan, potentially for Earthshaker, who was extremely low in their own rights. And then it turns into a kill situation on them because of the positioning. And it's all it took. I mean, Earthshaker creates such tragic pathing in these fights that I don't know if Dust is going to be able to recover if they continue at this rate. They need some good initiations in lockdown, and they have the tools to do it. But now we see the gold graph spin in favor about 3 of SNA. Lycan is online and able to do some damage with Necro coming in just a matter of maybe 200 more gold here. So just really cool to see what's going on with them and see how it kind of all pans out.
Yeah, and this is why Earthshaker falling behind the early game is not a big deal. We see it time and time again. Mate is actually going to get glimpsed back in the kinetic field. The Fissure will come out. That isn't exactly needed as they pick up the kill anyway. But the tower in the tier 2 mid is going down really fast, and Dust, they don't have any way of really defending. They pop the Moonlight Shadow, but there is a Sentry Ward down, and they can see the Sentry Ward down, but they can't do anything about it. Now Fluff in a really aggressive position here. He's going to go ahead with a solo echo onto Heisenberg, cleans him up. Now SNA finishing up the tower and then going for more. They glimpse back 470. 470 going to get cleaned up in no time at all. IX Mike going to grab a double kill on that one. 10-5, and to be perfectly honest, this is a time when they can actually push up onto the high ground. SNA doesn't have his Necro book completed just yet, though I think it's coming out to him. And the tier 3 is actually going down really fast. Now, they dropped the wards to keep it alive, but it's not doing what it needs to be doing. TC's Elder Dragon form, SNA, and all of the creeps for IX Mike blowing through that. Mate going to get blocked by the Fissure. Almost ended up getting away, but taking a lot of damage from the Breathe Fire. They push the high ground. They get the tier 3. Racks still stand. But an exposed set of racks at 13 minutes is definitely not something that you want to be playing against. And to be perfectly honest, Dust have just completely fallen apart.
They're just not competing at the same level that, you know, SNA has come into this game with. The team fights have just been phenomenal in the positioning, and I don't think you can fault them. You have 2 pros just coming off Liquid. TC still in Liquid with Way 2 also there. One of the best North American sets I think you can physically have. All these guys have such great synergy together and have played together for years. So I don't fault Dust. I think their lineup was very solid. They did okay in the laning phase. I think what it boils down to, at least for me, is that they didn't monopolize the time and space that they needed to achieve in that laning phase to assert themselves on top of towers. You're using abilities like Mass Serpent Ward defensively instead of being able to set up bad situations, and SNA just able to weather the storm and get on top due to some, you know, just key support play. And it's kind of like Mate's play last game is Way 2's this game. Those glimpses have just been on point, creating ugly situations. That whole last team fight evolved simply because they glimpsed one hero back in, and they knew that they had an advantage from there because their death ball was better. You have Dragon Knight with a Blink Dagger. You know, he's got a third of his BKB completed. Way 2 has an actual gem to make sure Moonlight Shadow is irrelevant. IX Mike able to jolt everyone up. He actually went Midas to sustain his late game.
Moonlight Shadow, they pop down the Sentry Ward. They know exactly where everyone is. They're going to get the stun on 470. 470 still looking for the Doom, but the Static Storm will end up keeping that from happening. Now Heisenberg and Mate in a very compromising positions. They will end up getting the wards down, which will clean up Fluff and stuff. But Handball, in the meantime, getting cleaned by SNA, not able to stay alive, blocked in by the creeps, will not be able to walk away from this one. And the GG well plays come out. They tap out 15 minutes in, both games about at least. And it looks like SNA were just on their A game tonight. Oh, man. 2 dominating performances. And Dust, you can't, as you said, you can't fault them. They did incredibly well both games, but versus this lineup that Sneaky Nyx Assassins have tonight, at least, I mean, there was very little that they could say against.